Hello guys, welcome to the next tutorial in the series. Today we're going to continue our discussion about exceptions. So in our last class we discussed a whole lot about checked exceptions. Today let's continue the exceptions with our runtime exceptions. As I discussed and mentioned previously, runtime discussions are mainly caused by our bad programming. So as checked exceptions can be handled by IDEs and Java by giving us warning, and we can handle those before compilation. Checked exceptions are that, but runtime exceptions cannot be handled like that, and they only happen when we run the program and Java catches them in the runtime and then throws the errors and exceptions. Let's discuss this with the example. So run time exception demo. Let's get a main method, finish it, and start typing something. All right, so runtime exceptions, bad programming. Let's say I'm trying to access an array element which does not exist, it's gonna give me an exception. Let's say I'm trying to divide by 0, division by 0 is not possible, it's gonna give me an exception. Those kind of things. Let me show these to you with example. So int a equals to maybe 10, int b equals to 0, and let's say int c is there, and let me try c equals to b divided by a. Till now everything's okay. See, because defining integer a as 10 is completely valid, defining b as 0 is valid, defining c with b by a is valid, so Java does not give me any exception here. See, so maybe the result is C. When I run this program, it gives me 0 because I did the other way. I did C equals to B by A, which was not I was trying to show you guys. So I should do A by B, and this should give me the exception. So guys, you see arithmetic exception slash, which is the divide sign, divide by 0. Because division by 0 is not possible, it's given me that exception. Now how we can handle these exceptions is again the same way. We can use the try catch blocks, and I can just do this and catch arithmetic exception E and say CISO E dot get message. If I do this, I'm pretty much handling it, right? So format the code a little bit and run the code again. It says it just try to divide a by b, which is 10 by 0. It's not possible, so it does not execute. It did not execute this step, which says the result is C. No output for this step, because as soon as it finds an exception here, it jumps to the catch block where it just prints the message. The message is divide by 0. I can be more user friendly, saying division by 0 is not possible. So user is happy, he can see the message, what he's doing wrong. That's the way we handle these runtime exceptions. I want to show you guys maybe one more example here. This runtime one is easy, it's just improving our skills, our coding practice. So just pay attention to what you're coding, where you can think there could be an exception, and try to handle those things. So let's take maybe one more example. Let's take an array of integers and initialize it to some values. So I've declared an array of integers which is named as numbers. It has 3 values, 1 2 3. So the size of the array is 3. Indexes in this array is 0 1 and 2. So let me just run a for loop which says int I equals to 0 2 I less than equal to maybe let's say 3 and I plus plus. So everybody knows the length of this array is 3. So the index can only be 0, 1 and 2. So when I do I is less than 3, it's definitely gonna give me some exception afterwards, right? It says type cannot convert. I'm not even trying to convert anything, man. And it's just some intermediate error. And when I just print my maybe values, numbers. So what I'm doing here is at the index I am printing the values in every step and comment out this code so we don't get confused. When I run this, it just does this. Alright, it prints out 0, 1, 2 indexes. The values are 1, 2 and 3, and as soon as it reaches the fourth index, it just says exception. Exception is array index out of bound exception, and the index number is 3 because there's no third index, right? The index is 0, 1 and 2. So right here it gives me an index, it gives me an exception. So again, we can handle these sort of things in our try catch blocks. And how we do that is like that. We can have a catch block. And one thing to mention, guys, every runtime exception class, let's say this arithmetic exception and this array index out of bound exception is derived from the exception parent class. So I can just use this and continue. I do not have to explicitly give this until I really know what the issue is. So when I do this, I can just say so there is no index available, maybe, or yeah, index available after 2. So when I do this, and let's see what's gonna happen. I run this code. It runs from index 0 to 2. It prints out the values. As soon as it hits the third index, it just goes to the catch block and it runs this command and prints out the value that I'm trying to pull there, right? I can also do things like so maybe something like e dot get message. Let's say, what does it do? So it just shows me the index number from where it is having the issue. So it is having the issue at third index. It just showed me that. So this is pretty much it, how we handle the index. First of all, if this situation is really simple, if we really want to handle this, we can just get rid of this equal sign and run it. It will never fall into the exceptions block. So I just made it equal because we really wanted to go into the catch block to show exceptions. So just practice this a little bit, guys. Try to do something to catch the exceptions. Try getting used to using try and catch blocks and improve your coding skills, so you know. See, all this is practice. If you practice more, you pretty much know what you're doing wrong. If you're dividing by 0, trying to access some index which is not available, and in these cases it's pretty simple. But in cases where we are getting an array from some other method and maybe we don't know the size of that array, in that case we might have issues with the length of the array and the size of the array. So we really need to be careful what method we are using, what method we are calling, which array we are using, and just do some precautionary, some better programming, and use these try catch blocks and practice more, guys. So this is it for this class. This is kind of okay, and just practice a little bit, and see you in the next class. Thanks.